Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm Lucas and welcome back to another track guide on F122. Today we've got Australia and this was a lap from... Wow, I've just renamed it, but this was from when I was practicing for... Oh, was it WR PSGL? I think it was WR Australia from the start of the game. And yeah, I'm going to be walking through you. This is the only recorded lap I have on my PC. Which is lucky that I've even got one in the first place. So yeah, I don't think the lap's necessarily, let's say, quick anymore. I was using a very ancient setup at this point, but it doesn't matter. It's going to be good for a track guide. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, to start our lap at Australia, again, it's all about maximising the speed onto the straight. So you want to make sure you're setting yourself up nicely for a good run through the last corner. So bring yourself over to the left, short shifting through the last corner, DRS open, and getting a nice run to the line. Cutting the timing beam right now, and heading into turn one, which is such a tricky corner to get right. Honestly, it gives you nightmares, man. But so, pardon me. Your reference points that you want to be looking for, obviously you have your apex here, and you have 100 meter board, 50 meter board there. Those are references that you can use. Also on the inside as well as a 100 meter board if you're, let's say, going up the inside and you can't see in the left hand side. A useful tip, I guess, as well. But heading into turn one, my reference point that I like to use is this little strip of tarmac right here. This is my best friend when you're doing turn one. This is where I base my braking distances from. So as you can see, we'll play it through turn one normally first, and turn one and two, I should say. Plenty of curb used, good run through there. DRS open. Now let's break it down into turn one. We are braking very heavily, just let's say 1 car worth before we reach this curb, but we are full brakes once we reach this tarmac strip. We are fully on the brakes by that point, but we start the braking process just a car width before, let's say, give or take. Heading in, then once we take this corner in 5th gear. You can actually take it in 6th. I have seen people do that. It depends on your setup as well. Depends on a few things, but 6th is an option. But I use 5th in this corner. Braking heavily, because you have to slow the car down quite a bit. And we opt to use quite a bit of track width. This is... maybe slightly setup dependent as well, but who knows. But we use quite a bit of inside road to carry good speed and open up the entry to turn 2 as well. So yep, we are fully out the brakes before we're even meeting the apex, and you're already getting on the power before you even get to the apex of turn 1. So those are some key useful things. Using basically a perfect cut over this. You could maybe use like a tiny bit more, but we've got it nicely cut over turn 1 there. And then such an easy point to invalidate your lap as well, may I add. On the apex of turn 1 there, but also on the inside of turn 2. I've probably invalidated over the years in playing F1 hundreds of laps on the left hand side here. So it can be very frustrating. But yeah, using all the road, and then if you've got it nicely set up through turn 2, you can sort of hug the inside a little bit just to save yourself some distance. You can see our deltas going up a little bit, and then getting a nice smooth run, DRS open, bread and butter. So heading into turn 3 now, your reference points are your 100 meter board that we've just passed there, and the 50 meter board here. You are braking in a space between these boards, so you start braking kind of just after you pass the 100 meter board. You're starting to brake very heavily, and it's very easy to brake too deep into this corner, and I believe we actually brake a tiny bit too deep into this corner on this occasion. We're opting for 4th gear, braking heavily in a straight line, and then peeling out the brakes just as we start to initiate turn in, holding 4th gear, slightly up on our delta. And this corner, did I hear a lock up there? Let me just listen to that real quick. Hold on, chat. Chat. I'm not on Twitch, mate. What are you on about? Let me just listen to this real quick. Nope, hold on. Nope, I thought I heard a lockup. I'm losing the plot, chat. No, not chat. Sorry. Anyway, YouTube viewers, bleeding into turn 1, 4th gear, just traditional trail braking. The circuit's sort of... You don't really have a lot of front grip in this corner. It's sort of a very understeery corner. That's normal. Don't feel like you're understeering or these sort of things. It's very natural for the car just to not want to turn. You feel like you're just winding in lock and it just doesn't want to turn. So as long as you can sort of meet the apex, that's the main thing. You can see with the amount of steering lock we're using, yeah, it's just bread and butter trail braking, off the brakes, wind the lock in, get on the power, start to wind the lock out again, holding 4th gear. Bring the car over to the right hand side nice and smoothly. We don't quite get to full power, don't expect to get to full power through this section either, as it's not necessarily about getting to the maximum power, it's about setting yourself up for a nice exit through the exit of 4. And we hold 4th gear on this entry phase, bleeding the car in. Short shifting to 5th before we get to the curb. There are some different techniques with gears you can use through here as well. 5th gear, getting on the power, and then it's actually very easy to spin on the exit of this corner if you go too wide here and use too much of that curb. Like that. So I'll play that section through fluidly, as I think that's quite useful as well. So heavy on the brakes. Car wants to understeer, but balancing on the power, bringing the car over to the right, short shifting, using a bit of curb, utilising the road and the exit, and then you want to immediately bring yourself over to the left hand side. This is a flat out right hander, but not necessarily all the time if it's race trim or all these things. It's a pesky little corner. It's very, very tricky. So gotta be careful. Flat out through there, holding 6th gear up to 7th, and that is sector 1 complete. Now starting sector 2, it is actually, this is a corner that it's better to turn in slightly too early than too late through here, because the circuit you sort of understeer out on the exit if you don't turn in too early. It's very hard to recover it. It's very much one big commitment on the entry, and that will determine, how the corner's going to pan out from there. The entry is very important to get right as to your input. So holding 7th gear, you can use 8th. I'll play it through naturally first. Down to 6th. Good entry usage and perfecting the road and the exit. I was so close to invalidation. That's sort of how this corner needs to be taken. So into 7th gear. And then you're braking very heavily for a very, very brief moment, because you have to scrub off quite a bit of speed, but in such a short space of time. That's just sort of the way of this corner. So you, again, utilising literally every little piece of road on the entry. Downshifting to 6th, holding the brake a little bit into the apex just before we're just peeling out. We're just about getting back on the power, just as we're about to meet this apex. And again, it's better to be using. You can use quite a bit of this inside apex. You would be surprised how much you can use through here. As the circuit sort of dips down on the apex and then comes back up on the exit, there is a little bit of elevation to play with. So yeah, it's taking 6th gear, getting back on the power, getting on the power, full power now. Is that the right frame? Maybe about now. We're talking fine percentages through there. So getting on the power now, and then literally utilising every little bit of road in the exit. So easy to invalidate on that exit on this corner. Like, again, Australia to push to the limit and not invalidate is very tricky. So it's about confidence, commitment, precision, all these good things. So that's the first sort of part of the lap done. Then through here it's just about keeping the minimum speed as high as possible, saving the distance as you're going through this section. Just fingertips on the steering. You want to start to bring it over to the right hand side as you have your meter boards now as your references. 100 meter board isn't really useful here anymore. It's more so about the 50 meter board, and we'll play this high speed section throughout first, so we have a bit of so we can then break it down. So heading down, turning in just about 50 meters, using the inside curb, using so much on the second right hander. DRS open, and let's break that one down now, because this is one of the hardest parts of the track to fully commit, because the ride of the car can change a little bit going over these curves as well. So heading into this high speed section, we start to initiate the slight turn in while still full throttle, just as we reach that 50 meter board. We go from 8th down to 6th, sort of 2/3 braking, heading into there, very brief braking though, into the apex. We're actually getting on the power while still on the brakes, but it's like a bleed almost getting into here. It's about getting the car in, but getting back on the power in such a way that, is, safe enough to, commit. And yeah, using a bit of inside curb here because it helps open up this right hander, and it's all about maximising the exit speed through here, because if you have a moment on the exit of here, you start to bleed like 100, 200, 300, 400. It's just the delta dies all the way in the way exit on the way out. So you've got use a little bit on the inside, keep it over to the left, but then you want to commit nice and early. Now this again, another invalidation corner where it's so easy to invalidate, but the thing is you can cut so much of this corner. I mean, we cut completely over it, but because of the angle of this yellow line, which is what the track limit's based off, the front and the rear of the car there's always at least a bit on the track at one point, so the amount of cut you can get away with is really big through here. And then you can see you can see the steering open up because we're full power here, fully on the power, balancing out the power, and you can see the rear come round a bit. That's the rear starting to rotate there. You can see this. I'm getting out the steering slightly here, recommitting, just sort of rear still slightly in play, then committing fully back on the power again as we get the grip loaded up, using a good bit of curb on the exit as well. You do not want to go, let's say, all the way over. A, track limit, and B, you can lose momentum or spear into that wall on the right hand side. I've had a penny for the amount of times I've ended up in that wall or seen someone end up in that wall. I could probably pay for a full season of racing in real cars. So yeah, heading through to end of Sector 2, DRS open. Again, just save the distance on the inside, save yourself some free lap time, and then to the final sector, which is, again, such a tricky little section where you can gain and lose so much time for details. So yeah, very, very tricky to perfect. Now, heading into you've got the 50 meter board is your best friend in this one, and you want to be braking just before it. So as you can see, we're full throttle now. Well, actually, no, sorry, I'll play it through normally first. It stuttered. 2 seconds. I was nearly going to say chat. Heavy braking as you just before the 50, get to that curb, utilise the road and the exit, get on the power. So, it looks pretty bread and butter, pretty straightforward, but it's a tricky little corner, this one. So you're braking, full brake just as your front wings are aligning with that 50, basically. Or at least that was the case for me, because I think I was running time trial wings on this lap. This was WR Australia. I did this. This was what the practice was for. WR Australia pre F1 Esports season, and I used time trial wings, which I believe was 2217. But I had a different mechanical balance. So that's where the breaking point was for those wings. Maybe that's a good reference for you guys, just so you can have an idea, depending if you're higher or lower on the wings. But I believe the faster way to go quicker around Australia now is to drop the wing a little bit. I think that's quite a high wing, considering the modern standard that we have these days. But the modern setup meters. But yeah, fully brakes as you reach here, just utilising, again, you just got to maximise your track on the entry. Down to 4th gear, bleeding out the brake, and then you do not want to hit that red. Do not hit that red. That is not good. You can just nibble the inside straight on the corner. That's fine. The car's unloaded a bit on the right hand side anyway, so that's fine. And then again, you can invalidate very easily in this corner. You can use a lot of road here, so don't be afraid to do so. Get on the power, just feathering, finally full power, holding a singular gear shot, and then up to 5th again. So split through. Getting on the power, just banging the power on as early as you can, up to 6th gear, and again, we're using all the road in the entry. Your turn-in point is just, you've got your 50 meter board there, but your turn-in point is effectively just before you reach that green wall. Not that you should really be looking this direction, but that's just a reference for what we're talking about here. Then you're committing in hard. You're not, I don't think, did we even brake there? I think we might have, yeah, we had a small... the bitrate isn't very good. I say bitrate. The quality, you can barely just see it, but we're just feathering the brake here. We're left foot braking into here. Oh, not left foot. We're throttle and brake at the same time to balance the rotation and the momentum. Just for a brief period here. So literally, tiny bit of brake. Off the brake. That's all the brake we had. Literally a tiny little bit just to feed the car into the apex a little bit more. We held 6th gear. You can use 5th gear as well through here, depending on setup, wing, whatever. But that's again down to preference. We're really smooth through this corner, I feel, as well. 6th gear, committing, using the road. Again, that little exit there, unbelievably easy to invalidate. I've named so many places you can invalidate on this lap. It's actually crazy. And then the final 2 corners, which are extremely tricky to get right. You want to be bringing your car all the way to the right hand side, starting to brake roundabout now. Do we have a little cheeky reference point? Yeah, well, you have this 50 meter board, but your eyes are looking here at this point, so you're braking through, your visual reference to that apex point. Heavy on the brakes, down to 3rd gear, and the circuit is... The car wants to understeer through here. It feels like the front's just unloading through this section, so you've got to be very... Yeah, don't be surprised if you have understeer through here. Again, don't go anywhere near that red, but you can definitely use this inside normal curb there. Short shifting to 4th now. getting on the power. And then what I like to do through this section is you sort of get the car straight. You don't want to be, like, let's say, overcompensating, bringing it over to the left-hand side. You want to get the car straight. I'll play this final 2 corners out actually naturally for you guys first. I like to do that just to give you guys the context. Third gear, car wants to understeer, short shift to fourth, getting the power in a straight line, balance the throttle, fifth gear, DRS open, and that is that. But yeah, you don't need to, let's say, bring your car all the way overcompensatingly to the right, because this last corner is very easy for the rear to snap away. This is a rear limited corner through the last corner, so it's very easy for the rear to snap out if you're too aggressive. So it's the last corner is about patience, about on getting on the power. So you're get the car straight, full power for a brief little moment there, and then we're fourth gear. We short shift to fifth. We're balancing out the throttle to about 3/4, give or take, maybe slightly less, holding fifth gear, and it's all about balancing on the power, making sure that you don't clip that inside curb. You don't really want to hit it. Just try and run it nice and tight, get on the power as early as you can. We actually had to jump on and off you can see how quickly we had to jump on and off the power. It's just, you're just trying to feather it that whole time, and then you're getting on the power. Use the road in the exit. Again, you can invalidate in this exit. We almost did it there as well. And then DRS open and run it to the line. And that is a lap of, well, there's the sectors, but it's not really a good lap by current standards anyway, but it's yeah, for reference of that lap. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you found this track guide useful. Please leave your feedback down below in the comments if you have any points or things like that you think I should include in the future track guides. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you found it useful, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. So take care, everybody. Love you all, and ciao.